got to get some help. Has got to get some help because she's swallowing conspiracy theories that should not be repeated in this House.
David Lammy reacts sharply as Sarah Pochin challenges Keir Starmer during fiery Parliament debate. You're not going to believe what just unfolded inside Parliament. A debate that was supposed to be routine turned into a full-blown showdown, and now everyone's talking about it. David Lammy, Labour's outspoken frontbencher, went head-to-head with Conservative councillor Sarah Pochin after she delivered one of the most direct and emotional challenges to Keir Starmer we've seen in months. The tension in that chamber? You could feel it through the screen. Here's what happened. It was a Thursday afternoon session, with Parliament already buzzing over immigration, leadership, and trust in government. Sarah Pochin, who's been gaining a growing national following for her unapologetic honesty, was given the floor to speak on public confidence and political accountability. Nobody expected fireworks. But that changed within seconds of her opening line. She started calm, composed, but you could tell from her tone, she wasn't going to tiptoe around anyone. We talk about rebuilding trust, she began, but how can the public trust leaders who speak like lawyers instead of people? The chamber murmured. Then she turned directly toward the Labour benches. Sir Keir Starmer says he stands for working people. But when was the last time he actually stood among them? You could practically hear the political oxygen leave the room. And that's when David Lammy jumped in. Lammy, visibly frustrated, stood up almost instantly, his voice raised, his tone sharp. That's not fair, he snapped. You can disagree with Labour policies, but you will not distort the integrity of this party's leadership. His words echoed across the room. Some Labour MPs nodded. Others looked uneasy. Sarah Pochin didn't back down. She leaned forward slightly, keeping her voice steady but firm. This isn't about party loyalty, Mr. Lammy. It's about honesty. The British people want leaders who sound like they mean what they say. Gasps. Applause from a few corners. And just like that, the clip was born. By the time Parliament adjourned, snippets of the exchange were already circulating online. Political accounts, commentators, and even comedians were sharing it with captions like, "Finally, some real talk in Parliament." Within hours, the hashtag Sarah Pochin was trending on X, with thousands of people debating whether she'd been brave or disrespectful. But no matter where you stood politically, one thing was clear. That moment struck a nerve. Let's be real, Britain's political atmosphere right now is tense. Keir Starmer has been trying to balance his image, strong enough to take on the Conservatives, calm enough to look prime ministerial. But many voters, including some within Labour, say he still feels too careful, too scripted. And that's exactly the soft spot Sarah Pochin's words hit. She didn't accuse, she didn't insult, she questioned. And that's why her comments spread like wildfire. Social media was split down the middle. One user posted, "Sarah Pochin just said what millions of working Brits think about Starmer, no passion, no connection." Another fired back, "Lammy did the right thing. You can't build respect by tearing others down." Political journalist Ellie White from The Independent summed it up perfectly. This wasn't about who won the argument, it was about tone. Pochin represented frustration, Lammy represented defense. And both sides made their point clearly. Behind the scenes, insiders from both parties reportedly scrambled to manage the fallout. A Labour source told Sky News, "Lammy's reaction was human, he's fiercely loyal to Keir. But this shows the public's impatience. They want emotion, not just strategy." Meanwhile, a Conservative aide quipped, "Sarah spoke truth to power. That's why people loved it. No notes, no spin, just real words." Even among the general public, the reactions were emotional. On talk radio, one caller said, "Pochin didn't disrespect anyone. She demanded honesty, and that's what's missing in politics today." Another caller, clearly a Labour supporter, argued, "Lammy's right to defend his leader. But he should have listened first, not exploded." And that's exactly it. The eruption wasn't just Lammy's voice. It was the sound of a country that's tired of polished answers and desperate for something real. Now, to be fair, this isn't the first time Sarah Pochin has made headlines. Earlier this year, she made waves after saying she was proud of the British people and tired of being told patriotism is outdated. That comment alone earned her both praise and pushback. But this time, Her words landed squarely in the middle of Labour's narrative, and that's why it stung. Because while Labour's polling numbers remain solid, the emotional connection with everyday voters, that's still shaky. And in politics, emotion matters just as much as policy. So where does this leave everyone? David Lammy walked out of the chamber looking visibly tense. Later that evening, he told reporters, "We can't afford to let personal frustration turn into public division. I respect every voice in that room, but we must debate with dignity." It was a measured statement, perhaps an attempt to cool things down. Sarah Pochin, meanwhile, posted a short comment on her Facebook page. It simply read, "I stand by what I said. Respect goes both ways." Short, poise, confident. And that's the tone that keeps her trending, not anger, but conviction. Political analysts now believe this clash could mark a turning point in how future debates unfold. It's not just about left versus right anymore. It's about real voices versus rehearsed lines. And that's why this moment, a few words between two passionate politicians, has resonated far beyond Westminster. Because, deep down, people are asking themselves, if our leaders can't handle blunt honesty in Parliament, how can they handle the frustration boiling outside it? So maybe what we saw wasn't just a clash between David Lammy and Sarah Pochin, maybe it was Britain's frustration finally speaking out loud. And the real question now is, who's actually listening?